I'd like to start with our tales from the other side. When I say that, it often sounds like sort of sensationalistic, like, ooh, tales from the other side. But no, it's actually not like that for a medium. And that's one of the reasons I chose to do this program, is to talk about life on both sides of the veil from a medium's perspective. I really respect the experience of spirits that have crossed, and I take it quite seriously what I do. I believe that a good medium or a good psychic, just like anybody else, a good person in the world will always bring you messages of comfort and counsel, help you navigate some of the more difficult issues in your life. I wanted to share this story because I found it particularly interesting. We've been talking about auras and chakras and information and clairvoyance. What happens if you don't see anything? What does that mean? I had an unusual occurrence just recently. I was at an event and I was offering a mini reading to people as they came and went. And my last one came and sat down and she said, "Could you connect with my mother?" And I said, "I'm pretty sure I can," because I've never in the past, between you and me, had trouble doing that. I got the oddest impression. I actually felt like there were two people there, but I couldn't see one of them at all. The one that I could see, I felt like wasn't really the person. It was almost like the way she wanted to be seen. And she was showing herself as a petite, dark-haired woman, French origin, and had been sexually molested as a child. My client looked at me and she was so puzzled. And she goes, "Well, no, my mom is kind of more Germanic looking and was 6'4". And I just was gobsmacked. I was like, what? I've never been stumped. Do you know what I mean? Sort of like, what? So I offered her a free, longer reading to try to detangle this. And once I got out of the event, I went home and I'm talking to my guides. I'm like, what the heck? You never leave me stranded. What was the deal? And they drew my attention back to the experience. I realized that there had been that second spirit there that was her mother, but that she was completely devoid of any auric colors or her personality. There was nothing to read at all. It's like life had obliterated her. Once I made that connection, it started to untangle for me. And I realized that her mother had probably had DID, dissociative identity disorder. And even in death, she felt that it was safer to project the alter identity than it was to reveal herself. As soon as I acknowledged that, she started showing me images of things that had happened to her in childhood. And one of them was just particularly atrocious. I saw her chained like a dog and put in, for lack of a better word, a sweat box in the backyard in high heat and locked in there. I wonder she didn't die. So when I sat with my client, I had made the connection that her mother had been so sorely abused that she had to leave her own personality and that she had become sociopathic. My client sat down in front of me and I said, "Is there any chance that your mother might have been sociopathic?" And she said, "Oh, yes." So I conveyed what I had experienced. In the process of the reading, something really particularly touching happened as she recounted some of the things that had happened to her as a child at the hands of this woman who was not any kinder to her than the parents that had treated her the way they did. My client said, "Well, I just wanted to tell my mom that I love her." And she said, just every now and then, I would catch a little glimpse of what my mom was really like as a person. She would play with us as kids and laugh. And I saw her for just that little snitchet, that little widget in time. She said, "I just wanted to tell her I love her." And it was absolutely miraculous because a transformation began for her mother. Her mother, because of the level of suffering that she had been through, couldn't accept anyone telling her that she was an okay person. So on the other side, she had still retained her dissociation. But because her daughter had been present during those times, she could acknowledge that at those times she had been lovable. The only person that could ever have worked with her would have been her daughter, that particular daughter, who saw her through those windows and loved her. And the mother's demeanor changed, and there was just the slightest blush of pink, which is unconditional love, that just flushed slightly in her auric field, sort of phased in and out. And so, we heal each other. Love heals. We can't always accept love because sometimes we're too self-denigrating or we're too focused on what it is that we're dealing with. But it's there. It's always there. And I thought it was extraordinary that in this particular case, it was there in the heart of a daughter that had been terribly abused herself, but she could see her mom and loved her as such. There are other reasons that our auric field would be empty. One is sociopathy. A sociopath is someone sort of the opposite of an empath. An empath is someone who takes on or feels the emotions of other people, and at the far extreme can't even decipher their own emotion from those of other people. Coming closer to the center, we get to normal, and then going out, or more balanced, I don't know if there's such a thing as normal. Then going out the other side of that spectrum, we get to sociopaths. And generally, a sociopath has had things happen to them that have made them detach from their emotions. Sociopaths are not DID or schizophrenic or anything else by nature, but they've learned to wall off their emotions so that they can only feel their own emotions. And at the far extreme, they really wouldn't care whether they were hurting somebody else or not, because they can't feel the suffering of that other person because of their detachment. So sociopathy could be a reason, if you're looking at someone's aura, that it's empty. But don't jump to conclusions and don't lose your compassion, because often it can mean that that person is suicidal, that they're having thoughts of leaving this world because they feel empty and their emotions have been so deeply violated. Another reason could be that they're near their time. Edgar Cayce is noted for his occurrence. For those of you that don't know, a famous medium that was called the sleeping prophet, because he would go into a dead trance, diagnose and prescribe care for people in the medical arena. Extraordinary gift. So he was very attuned to auras. He was going to take an elevator, and he looked in the elevator, and he didn't see anything in the auras of the people that were there. They were just empty. Whether he made the connection instantaneously or not, I'm not sure, but he decided not to take that elevator, and that elevator crashed and all the people that were aboard passed. I know I've given a reading to someone, and I was stunned about the fact that I didn't see any symbols or colors in their aura. That was a separate occurrence from the one that I mentioned. So I asked my guides to please give me something to give this person, and they were just talking about, take care of yourself, enjoy your life, indulge yourself. The message really made them happy, and I found out later that I think it was within about a month that they had passed on to the other side, and I had just not understood what I saw. Not that I would have blurted it out. That would have been inappropriate and unnecessary. For you as a reader, it's important that you really look and not make conclusions quickly about what it is that you see and what you don't see. And so that's a deeper look, our tale from the other side.